What lies behind the nursing home crisis isn't a lack of money, but the abandonment of a revolutionary biblical truth. God designed old age as a season of harvest, not discard. While the world spends fortunes storing seniors in silent hallways, Scripture reveals solutions as practical as they are miraculous, where every physical limitation becomes a portal of grace, and every wrinkle tells the story of divine faithfulness. Did you know the term nursing home never appears in the Bible? Instead, we find homes welcoming prophets, widows sustaining communities, and elders whose hands tremble but whose prayers shake hell. This isn't a message about surviving old age, but reigning in it, following models like Abraham, who received children in maturity, Deborah, who judged Israel even in old age, and Simeon, who cradled the Messiah when his arms had strength only for what mattered most. What you'll discover here goes far beyond financial savings. These are 7 sacred principles that transform your home into a ministry hub, turn memories into eternal inheritance, reveal your body as a daily miracle, and more. But before revealing the first principle, I must ask, are you ready to trade fear of aging for the boldness of a faith that never retires? At the heart of God's plan for our later years lies a forgotten truth. No believer was made to grow old alone. Acts 2, verse 44 to 47 paints a radical picture. A community where the young sold property to meet needs, while the elderly became living treasures of wisdom. This isn't lost utopia, but a living model visionary churches are rediscovering. Imagine turning your home into an intergenerational sanctuary. Youth help with physical tasks in exchange for life lessons from those who've weathered decades of trials. Your backyard could become a faith school for spiritual grandchildren, your couch an altar for marital counseling, your kitchen a hub for passing down recipes and blessed stories. While nursing homes charge thousands to isolate, God offers something better, a faith family that crowns gray hair with honor. The secret? Start small. Invite a young couple to dinner and offer to pray over their struggles. You're not asking for help. You're offering a gift the world can't buy, memories transformed into legacy. Romans 12 doesn't suggest, it commands, practice hospitality. In biblical times, elders' homes were miracle centers. The widow of Zarephath hosted Elijah and saw her oil multiply. Today, this same principle can turn your dwelling into a sanctuary of mutual provision. Here's the truth. Nursing homes don't want you to know. Your empty room is someone's answered prayer, and the loneliness you feel mirrors a young wanderer's cry for roots. How about hosting a Christian college student? They help with household chores, you provide shelter and wisdom. Or create a grandma's soup night weekly, where whole families come not just for the meal, but for the faith stories served with every bowl. This isn't charity, it's kingdom economics. You gain trusted companionship, they receive spiritual roots. Psalm 68 verse 6 calls God Father to the fatherless and defender of widows, and his solution has always involved sacred bonds between generations. While nursing homes isolate, biblical hospitality weaves safety nets for emotional and financial survival. Just open your door, and God will handle the rest. Psalm 78 reveals your post-retirement calling. We will not hide them from their children. We will tell the next generation. While society dismisses your stories as relics of the past, God sees them as spiritual weapons for younger generations. Your memories aren't mere nostalgia. They're documented evidence of divine faithfulness. Why not turn your photo album into a spiritual survival guide? Each picture of an economic crisis overcome, every snapshot of illness defeated shouts, God didn't fail me, and He won't fail you. Launch a prophetic memories club at church. Meet monthly with youth to share what serving God in the 70s, 80s was like. Describe how prayer reshaped your family. Testify about surviving hard times without antidepressants or internet. These gatherings do more than entertain. They inject spiritual antibodies against modern despair. Technology is your ally. Record short videos. Grandkids can help. A. Sharing specific moments of God's provision. When you explain how He sustained you through unemployment at 40, you're handing someone a survival map for their current crisis. Your memory is the miracle someone needs to keep believing. 1 Corinthians 6:20 reminds us, "Glorify God in your body," a command that grows profound in later years. While the world medicalizes aging, God invites revolution, turning every health habit into an act of worship. Imagine your annual checkup as a living sacrifice, your diet as sacred discipline, your morning walk as pilgrimage with God. The widow of Zarephath didn't know her simple act of baking bread for Elijah would trigger lasting health miracles. Likewise, your small acts of self-care today are seeds of future vitality. Create a spiritual health journal. Record not just medications, but Bible promises sustaining your body. Turn your kitchen into a divine pharmacy. Proverbs 24. Honey for immunity. Luke 10. Oil for joints. John 41. Living water as detox. When pain flares, try a complaint fast. Replace each groan with a psalm of thanks for what still functions. Let physical therapy double as intercession, each stretch a metaphor of reaching heavenward. The result? Your frail body becomes a living testimony, like Moses, whose eyes were never weak nor his strength gone, proving God's service is the best health plan. Psalm 37 offers timeless testimony. I was young and now am old, yet I have never seen the righteous forsaken. This isn't abstract hope. 'Tis a kingdom financial principle for your later years. While the world hoards for worst-case scenarios, God invites sacred accounting, where every need becomes a chance to witness His faithfulness. The widow in 2 Kings 4 had just one jar of oil, but her obedience to gather empty vessels unleashed economic miracles. What's your empty vessel today? Hidden skills, sewing, repairs, recipes, or Bible knowledge could become kingdom currency for services you need. Unused spaces, a spare room turned spiritual retreat for weary souls. Time transformed, mentor young professionals in exchange for tech help. This is God's retirement plan. Your little plus His blessing equals always enough. Nursing homes sell fear. You're holding proof of divine math. Society insists on defining the elderly by productivity, but God declares in Isaiah 46 verse 4, "Even to your old age I will be the same." When professional titles fade, an eternal identity emerges. One, even death, cannot steal. The aged Apostle John didn't introduce himself as the former fisherman, but as the disciple whom Jesus loved. Imagine the revolution if you traded the label retiree for heavenly designations. Keeper of covenants, like Noah, who preserved divine promises. Builder of generational bridges, like Ezra, who connected eras. Living archive of God's faithfulness, like Anna, who witnessed the Messiah. Create your heavenly business card. List 3 ways Scripture describes you. Identify 2 personal testimonies proving this. Choose 1 daily action expressing this identity. Psalm 78 verse 6 reveals God's design for your maturity. So the next generation would know and tell their own children. While the world obsesses over material inheritances, God offers something infinitely more valuable, the power to sow into eternity using what you already possess. Turn daily life into a legacy lab. Prophetic letters. Write dated messages for future milestones, grandchildren's graduations, your kids' retirement. Blessed audio recordings. Use messaging apps to preserve specific prayers for each family member. Artifacts with history. Gift ordinary items paired with their miracle backstory, like, "This spoon fed us during the 1980 recession." Launch an eternal investment fund. 10 daily minutes sharing faith stories. 1 weekly hour mentoring a church youth. 1 spiritually significant personal item gifted yearly. Your life isn't shrinking, it's concentrating like rare wine, growing more valuable with time. When the devil whispers, "Your time is past," remember, John wrote Revelation on Patmos when Rome deemed him too old. Your final chapter could be your most glorious. Ephesians 4, verse 32, gains existential depth when hair turns white. Be kind, compassionate, forgiving each other as God forgave you. Medical research shows seniors who practice forgiveness experience 30% less chronic pain, but Scripture knew this millennia ago. Your body stores emotional memories. Back pain flaring on the anniversary of betrayal. Blood pressure spiking over unresolved inheritance disputes. God offers better than medicine, the spiritual surgery of forgiveness. Transform your home into a sanctuary of liberation. Heart archaeology. List 3 unresolved relationships per life, decade, 1960s, 70s, 80s. Letters of liberation. Write, but don't send. Forgiveness notes completing. What hurt me was, but today I choose. Healing rituals. Symbolically burn papers representing bitterness while praying Psalm 147. The widow Naomi carried the bitterness of renaming herself Mara, bitter, until her forgiveness made space for a future that included King David in her lineage. Your act of forgiving isn't about forgetting, it's about retaining the story's power without its pain. When you release those who hurt you, you're freeing yourself to fully live your golden years. 2 Corinthians 12 echoes with divine urgency. My power is perfected in weakness. And this truth explodes with meaning in later life. Your walker isn't a symbol of decline, but a mobile altar where God demonstrates his power. The deafness isolating you from the world may open portals to hear God with unprecedented clarity. The arthritis stiffening your hands transforms them into sacred instruments when folded in prayer. The Apostle John, exiled on Patmos in frailty, didn't beg for freedom. He turned his prison into the studio where he wrote Revelation. Your model for today. Sacred inventory. List 3 physical limitations. Beside each, write how it can serve the kingdom. Example, failing eyesight. Now I see through faith. 2 Corinthians 5, verse 7. Grace Journal. Daily record where weakness became a supernatural portal. Ministry of vulnerability. Publicly share how God sustains you. This will be therapy for you and evangelism for others. Jacob's blindness in Genesis 48 became the channel to prophesy over the 12 tribes. Likewise, your disability is actually a heavenly language the younger generation needs to decipher. When you stop fighting limitations and start consecrating them, you'll discover Paul's secret. When I am weak, then I am strong. Romans 12 gains new depth when hair turns white. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Modern neuroscience has discovered what Scripture always knew. The aging brain retains astonishing neuroplasticity when properly engaged. While the world expects cognitive decline, God offers spiritual intellectual reinvention. Elderly Caleb at 85 didn't just retain strength, he claimed mountains. His renewed mind saw opportunities where others saw only obstacles. Turn daily life into a cognitive faith gym. Multisensory Bible study. Read aloud, handwrite, and draw passages. activating multiple neural pathways. Strategic memorization. Choose one weekly verse linked to melodies or hand motions. Intergenerational dialogues. Debate scripture with youth. Clashing perspectives fuel flexible thinking. Second childhood is a secular myth. You're actually entering second wisdom, where decades of experience fuse with fresh divine dependence. The aged prophet Daniel not only kept mental clarity but interpreted dreams young sages couldn't grasp. Your mind is holy ground where the Spirit still sows new understanding. Joel 2 verse 28 holds an underrated promise. Your old men will dream dreams. While the world discards seniors as relics of the past, God is positioning them as spiritual lighthouses for the future. Maturity isn't an invitation to retire from the kingdom, but to enter your most strategic ministry yet. Anna, the 84-year-old prophetess, wasn't in the temple's senior wing. She was the voice who presented the Messiah to the nation. God is restoring the council of elders for this hour. Night watchman, your sleepless nights become strategic intercession shifts. Dream decoders, your experience discerns patterns youth miss. Living archives, you've witnessed historical cycles now repeating. Launch a prophetic rear-view ministry. Compare current crises to biblical historical events you've lived. Document patterns of God's faithfulness across decades. Gather youth to interpret trends through eternity's lens. Your old man's dreams are not senile fantasies. They are heavenly visions for a rootless generation. When the world accelerates, God raises up elders as spiritual brakes. Your trembling voice carries an authority that loudspeakers cannot amplify. The prophet Isaiah concluded his ministry with a timeless promise, and even to your old age I will be the same. But this divine guarantee demands a practical response. The time has come to transform these principles into a concrete roadmap for your coming years. It's not enough to admire the theory. You are called to live the most extraordinary old age since Noah's days. Here is your implementation plan in 7 sacred steps. 1. Territory assessment, week 1. List 1 physical resource, home, skills. 1 spiritual treasure gift, experience. 1 practical need. 2. Generational alliance, week 2. Invite 1 young person for spiritual adoption. 1 elder for partnership. 3. Body consecration, daily. Transform 1 health routine into an act of worship. X. My pills with prayer. 4. Faith economy, month 1. Identify 1 forgotten skill that can generate provision. 5. Digital memorial, month 2. Record 1 testimony video per week using your phone. 6. Legacy keeping, ongoing. Write 1 blessing letter for each immediate family member. 7. Prophetic counsel, quarterly. Gather 3 to 5 elders to discern times and seasons. This is not a survival plan, but spiritual governance. With each step, you'll build living alternatives to the nursing home system, proving that gray hair is indeed a crown of glory. When you implement these solutions, you'll do more than save money. You'll redefine the meaning of maturity for coming generations. You've just received a heavenly map to transform your golden years into the most powerful season of your life. But this message can't stop here. It must reach other elders of faith who haven't yet discovered aging in God's arms is far cheaper, happier, and more purposeful than any human plan. Click like if you believe God has a sacred calling for the elderly. Subscribe and hit the bell for more revelations that honor gray hair as Scripture commands. And share with someone who needs to hear that nursing homes aren't destiny. God's best is yet to come. God preserved you until now for such a time as this. Now is your time to shine.